Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep into Simon Sinek's Start With Why today.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's kind of a classic at this point, right?
It is, it is.
I mean, it seems like anyone in the business world has read this book, and
Good reason, I think.
yeah, I think so too.
It really gets to the heart of what makes some leaders and organizations just, I don't know, stand out.
They have that something special.
Yeah, that certain something.
Exactly.
Like, when you meet someone and you're just instantly drawn to their energy and you want to hear what they have to say.
Totally.
Sinek's trying to break down why that is, what makes them so magnetic.
Well, and it all comes back to that idea of the golden circle, right?
Yeah, that's the foundation of his whole argument.
So can you remind us, what's the golden circle all about?
Okay, so picture like three concentric circles, all right?
Yeah, I'm picturing it.
The outermost circle is the what?
The white dot cop.
That's like the products you sell, the services you offer, the stuff you do, right?
You make sense.
Then the next circle in is the hey, how.
Oh, okay, how you doing?
Right, the processes, the strategies, all that.
Gotcha.
And then at the very center, the core is the WHY.
The WHY, and that's the big one.
That's the heart of it all, the purpose, the belief, the reason you do what you do.
And Sinek says most organizations kind of go about it backwards, right?
They do. They start with the what, maybe touch on the high W, but they totally miss the WHY.
So, like, they're telling you all about their amazing product features.
Exactly, but they don't connect it to anything bigger.
They're not giving you a reason to care beyond just like, hey, this thing is cool.
It's like, okay, you make great laptops. So what?
You need that deeper level of meaning.
Exactly. Think about Apple, right?
Oh, they're like the textbook example.
Right. They're masters of the WHY.
They don't just say, we make computers.
No way. They're like, think different, challenge the status quo.
That's their WHY.
That's what drives everything they do, their design, their user experience.
And people buy into that. You're not just buying a phone. You're buying into this whole idea of being a rebel, being creative.
It's aspirational.
Totally.
And that's the power of starting with WHY. It creates this emotional connection.
It's not just about the product anymore. It's about the feeling.
You get it. It's about believing in something, being part of something bigger than yourself.
And that's so much more powerful than just like a discount or a limited time offer.
Oh, absolutely. Those tactics, they might work in the short term, but they don't build lasting loyalty.
You're not really connecting with people on a deeper level.
Nope. It's just transactional.
It's like, buy this thing because it's cheap versus buy this thing because it aligns with your values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people are smart. They can tell the difference.
They can smell a phony a mile away.
100%.
So what are some other good examples of companies or organizations that really nail the WHY?
Ooh, so many. Let me think.
I know you have a million examples up your sleeve.
I do. Well, how about Southwest Airlines?
Okay, what's their WHY?
Making air travel accessible and enjoyable for everyone, basically.
So that's why they focus on low-cost fares.
Yep. And friendly service and no frills flying.
It all stems from that core belief that everyone should be able to travel.
Exactly. It's not just about getting you from point A to point B. It's about making the journey itself a positive experience.
And I think people really respond to that.
They do. It's genuine. You can feel it in everything they do.
And that's what sets them apart from the competition.
Right. It's not just about the price. It's about the experience, the values.
And Sinek says it's not just companies that need to start with WHY, right?
Oh, no, it's about leadership, too. Leaders who inspire, they all have a strong WHY.
So it's not just about managing tasks and hitting deadlines.
It's about motivating people, getting them excited about a shared vision.
Inspiring them to action.
Exactly. Think about like Martin Luther King Jr.
Ooh, powerful example.
Right. His I Have a Dream speech, it was all about his WHY.
Equality, justice, a better future.
It was so clear, so powerful, and it galvanized a movement.
It's crazy how a strong WHY can have that kind of impact.
Yep. It's amazing, right? It can change the world.
Have you ever felt that kind of inspiration from a leader, like maybe someone you've worked with or even just someone you admire?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What was it about them that really drew you in?
It's hard to put into words, but there was just this sense of purpose, this conviction that radiated from them.
Like they knew their WHY.
They did,
Yeah.
and it made you want to be a part of it, to contribute in some way.
It's contagious, that kind of energy.
It really is. It makes you want to step up your own game.
So, okay, we get it. Starting with WHY is important,
Super important.
but how do we actually put this idea into practice?
That's the question, isn't it?
Like, okay, I want to find my WHY, I want to lead with WHY, but where do I even start?
Well, Sinek lays out these three key principles: clarity, discipline, and consistency.
Okay, break those down for us.
All right, so first, clarity
Clarity of what?
of your WHY. You got to be able to articulate it in a way that makes sense to other people.
Like, you can't just have this vague idea in your head
Right. You have to be able to explain it clearly, concisely,
so people get it.
and they buy into it.
Got it. So, clarity, that's step one. What about discipline?
That's all about staying true to your HOW, the actions, the values, the things you do that support your WHY.
It's easy to get sidetracked, especially when things get tough.
Oh, for sure.
You might be tempted to cut corners or compromise your values.
To get that quick win.
Exactly.
Yes.
But discipline keeps you focused on the bigger picture.
Keeps you aligned with your WHY.
So clarity, discipline, and what was the third one?
Consistency.
Right, consistency.
That's about making sure everything you do aligns with your WHY, the products you create, the way you communicate, everything.
So you're walking the talk.
Exactly. You're not just saying it, you're living it.
And that builds trust over time. Right.
It does. It shows people you're the real deal.
You're not just putting on a show.
You're committed to your WHY.
I like that.
And that's powerful.
It is powerful.
But here's the thing. You're not going to win everyone over right away. It takes time.
Right. It's a process.
Sinek talks about this concept called the law of diffusion of innovation, which explains how new ideas spread.
Okay, I've heard of this. It's like not everyone's going to jump on board immediately.
Exactly. You got these different groups of people: the innovators, the early adopters, the early majority, the late majority, and then the laggards.
Those names always make me laugh.
Right.
It's so true, though. Like, some people are just wired to be early adopters.
They're the ones who are always trying new things.
They're drawn to the cutting edge, the innovative stuff.
They're not afraid to take a risk.
And Sinek says those early adopters, they're crucial for spreading new ideas.
They are. They're the ones who get excited about the WHY, about the potential.
They're not just buying the product, they're buying into the vision.
Exactly. And they become your champions. They spread the word.
They're like evangelists for your idea.
I love that analogy. They're the ones who help it gain momentum.
So if you're trying to get people excited about something new,
Focus on those early adopters.
they're the key.
They're the ones who will help you reach the masses.
This is all so fascinating, but I think a lot of our listeners are probably wondering, how do we even figure out our own WHY?
That's the big question, right?
Like, how do we go about discovering that deeper purpose, that thing that drives us?
It's a journey, that's for sure.
And it's not always easy.
No, it takes some soul searching, some reflection.
What are some good starting points?
Well, Sinek suggests asking yourself some key questions.
Like what?
Like, what truly motivates you? What gets you fired up in the morning? What makes you feel fulfilled?
It's not just about wanting a bigger paycheck or a fancier title.
Right. It's about finding something that gives you a sense of purpose.
It's about making a difference.
Exactly. It's about leaving the world a little better than you found it.
Those are some powerful questions to think about.
They are.
I think we could all benefit from taking some time to really reflect on our own WHY. It's about more than just success. It's about living a life that feels meaningful, a life that's in alignment with who we are.
Beautifully said. That's the power of starting with WHY. It's a journey, but man, it's so worthwhile discovering your WHY.
It is, but you know what's interesting?
What's that?
What happens when you discover your WHY and it doesn't line up with what you're currently doing?
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, what if your job, your career, your whole life just doesn't feel aligned with that purpose anymore?
Yeah, that can be a real aha moment, but also like a oh crap moment, right?
Totally. It's like, okay, I get it, but now what?
It can be kind of scary.
It is scary because it kind of throws everything into question.
It does, but it's also like, I don't know, it's exciting too. Like if you've been given this compass, this roadmap for how you want to live your life, how you want to contribute.
I like that analogy.
It's about figuring out, okay, how do I make my reality match up with this vision I have for myself?
But sometimes that compass points you in a direction you weren't expecting, right?
It totally can.
And then it's like, okay, I have this new direction, but how do I actually make a change?
Yeah, that's the hard part.
It can feel overwhelming.
It can, but here's the thing. It doesn't have to be this massive overnight transformation.
So you're not saying everyone needs to quit their job and start a nonprofit tomorrow?
Not at all.
Okay, good. Because that was kind of what I was picturing.
It's about taking small steps, making intentional choices that move you closer to that alignment.
So like baby steps towards your WHY.
Exactly.
What would those baby steps look like?
Well, it depends on your situation, obviously.
Sure.
But maybe it's having a conversation with your boss about taking on projects that are more aligned with your WHY.
Okay, so it's about looking for opportunities within your current role.
Yeah, or maybe it's about developing new skills that will help you transition into a different role.
So it's not necessarily about making a drastic change right away. It's about being strategic.
Exactly.
And maybe over time, those small steps lead to bigger changes.
They often do.
Like maybe you end up switching careers altogether.
Could be. It's all about listening to that compass and being open to where it leads you.
It's about trusting the journey, even when it gets a little messy.
100%. It's about having faith that you'll figure it out along the way.
And I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, right?
Oh, yeah.
That fear of the unknown.
It's natural to feel that way. But sometimes the scariest path is the one that keeps you stuck.
The path of least resistance.
Right. Sometimes you have to shake things up a bit to find what truly makes you happy.
So how do we know when it's time to make a change? When that compass is really pointing us in a new direction?
That's a good question, and I don't know if there's a one-size-fits-all answer, but I think a lot of it comes down to listening to your gut.
Your intuition.
Yeah, that little voice inside that tells you something's not right.
Like if you're constantly feeling drained, uninspired, like you're just going through the motions.
That's a sign for sure.
And it's probably a sign that it's time to start exploring other options.
It might be.
To figure out what's missing and how to get back on track with your WHY.
It's not always easy, but it's so worth it. When you're living in alignment with your WHY, everything changes.
How so?
Well, for one thing, work doesn't feel like work anymore.
It becomes more than just a job.
It becomes an expression of who you are, what you care about.
You're not just punching a clock. You're contributing to something meaningful.
You're making a difference, you know?
And that feels good.
It feels amazing. And the best part is, it's contagious.
What do you mean?
When you're living your WHY, it inspires others to do the same.
Oh, I see.
It's like this ripple effect of purpose and passion.
So you're not just changing your own life. You're potentially impacting the lives of others.
Exactly. You're creating this positive energy that spreads outwards.
And that's what's so powerful about this whole start with why idea.
It's about more than just individual success. It's about collective impact.
It's about making the world a better place, one WHY at a time.
I love that.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
It is.
We've covered so much ground, from the golden circle to the law of diffusion of innovation, to the importance of aligning your life with your WHY.
And we're not done yet.
Oh, right. We still have more to explore.
We do.
But before we move on, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
About what?
What stands out to you as the most valuable takeaway from Start With Why? Like if you had to boil it down to one key message.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I know it's like picking a favorite child.
It is. But I think if I had to choose, it would be this. Starting with WHY is not just a business strategy, it's a philosophy for life.
Explain that a little bit more.
It's about approaching everything we do with intention, with a sense of purpose.
Not just going through the motions.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of our choices, our actions, and asking ourselves, why am I doing this? What's the bigger picture?
And making sure that our actions are aligned with our values, with what truly matters to us.
Precisely.
I love that. It's a reminder that we all have the power to create a life that feels meaningful, a life that's in alignment with who we are.
And that's a beautiful thing.
So we've talked about how starting with WHY can transform businesses, even inspire movements. But how can this idea impact our everyday lives?
Ooh, that's a great question to think about.
Like we've been talking about really big picture stuff.
Yeah, big visions, change in the world.
But what about the little things?
You know, the day-to-day decisions we all make.
Exactly, like start with why for deciding what to eat for breakfast.
I love that.
Right. So I'm curious, for our listeners out there,
Yeah.
think about a decision you made recently.
Okay.
Maybe it was something small.
Like what to have for dinner?
Yeah, or to wear today.
Or something bigger, like a career change, maybe.
Exactly. Big or small, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Did you stop and ask yourself WHY?
That's a good one.
Before you made that decision, did you think about the reason behind it?
I like that. It's
Yeah.
about bringing that intentionality to everything we do, right?
Totally. It's easy to just go through the motions,
Oh, for sure.
make choices out of habit or convenience.
Especially when you're busy and stressed.
But what if we paused,
Yeah.
took a moment to really consider our WHY?
What's the purpose behind this choice?
Exactly. How might that change the outcome?
Ooh, that's something to think about.
I think it could make a big difference.
I agree.
Because when you know your WHY,
Yeah.
you're not just reacting to things, you're making conscious choices that are aligned with your values.
You're in control.
You're the captain of your own ship, as you were saying earlier.
I love that analogy.
It's so true, though, isn't it?
It is. It's about taking ownership of your life, your decisions.
And I think that's what Start With Why is all about, ultimately.
It is. It's about empowerment, about living a life that feels authentic and meaningful.
And that's something we can all strive for, no
Absolutely.
matter what our goals are, what our dreams are.
No matter where we are on our journey.
Starting with WHY can help us get there.
It's a powerful tool.
It really is.
So, to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Start With Why. We hope it's inspired you to think a little differently about your own WHY and how you can bring that purpose into every aspect of your life.
And remember, the journey of discovering and living your WHY is ongoing. It's not a one-time thing. It's about constantly reflecting, refining, evolving as you grow. Embrace the process and have fun with it.
Yes, have fun. And don't be afraid to experiment, to try new things, to step outside your comfort zone. You never know what you might discover about yourself along the way.
That's great advice. Thanks for sharing your insights with us today. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine. Always a great time diving deep with you.
And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a new topic. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.